Hi, this is Bart Sharp of Access Energy Transformation. The cool thing about Access is that we release our limitations of what is so finite and limited of our experiences in life. But what shows up is more of an infinite self. We are infinite beings. An infinite being can be anything. It has a wide range of talents and abilities. Now, I do not know anybody in the Access community that is a full, complete, infinite being, nor do I know anybody in the planet that is a full, complete, infinite being right now. But what I see in Access is that it just keeps opening up to that possibility. In other words, more and more talents and abilities of our infinite self keep showing up as we release the limitations. And for me, it's just been a process with this stuff. In other words, what showed up for me 6 years ago when I first started was I could feel energy. In other words, my body would resonate if it read. Some people would say if it was true. Truth is sort of a nebulous concept, so I just say it reads. So I found that I could ask just about any question and I would get a read on it, whether it was, more truth or less truth. And it's a great tool to have because I could go in and explore people's lives with them about what their limitations were. And it was just a matter of asking questions. And we'd go in like, well, okay, so is this anger about your anger towards your mother? Well, that doesn't read. Oh, what about your father? That reads. And just keep going through in a question and answer thing. As I worked with these tools, it just felt like I was starting to get the whole story at times. And I could start to feel it where it resonated in their body. And as I continued to do this work, it felt like I could even feel qualities of the anger and the intensity of it, or the intensity of the limitation itself. And it was just more and more information, more and more consciousness or awareness that was happening. And it was a wonderful thing. And then I started to see that, gee, this consciousness isn't limited to just people. In fact, people are much harder to read than per se trees. I can feel a tree and feel the whole being of the tree all at once. And then how it's connected to all the trees in the forest. And this wonderful communion and synchronicity of consciousness. It gave me the realization that trees are much more conscious than humans. They are totally aware of each other. There's no resistance or reaction to each other, but there's a flow. In fact, they do not have a concept that they are encased in a solid body. They're just energy, and it just all flows as a consciousness. We as humans, when we let go of our limitations, start to create that type of consciousness. So when you have that type of awareness, the limitations just keep expanding. For example, what's to limit me from working on computers in that same fashion, or homes? In other words, clear out all the memories of a home of previous tenants, so it's opening to something of a more dynamic energy like ease, joy, and glory, or the consciousness of the earth. That would be much more expansive. So I've gone in and cleared different buildings from all of this stuff. Now, an interesting story, I was invited to go to Paris and work on people in Paris, France. And I was having these attacks. And it was almost like my colon would go into spasms. First, I wasn't aware it was attacks. I just thought, I must be having colon problems. That didn't read. Didn't seem to really be that. But as I explored, I found that it was some presence in Europe that was attacking me. Did not want me to come to Paris. And I narrowed it down to, it was some energy in the Notre Dame Cathedral. Some energy knew that in the future I'd be going there and working on the cathedral, doing a dynamic ghost busting. And of course, necessity required me to go there because it just kept reading. And as I addressed this type of consciousness or this awareness I was having, all the pain went away. All the spasms went away immediately. Of course, I was having bowel problems at the time too as a result. All of that went away immediately as soon as I was aware of it and did some access clearings on it. So when I went to Paris, I did the clearings on Notre Dame Cathedral, clearing ancient limitations on that church itself. And it wasn't something that I did for payment. Nobody knew about it except for a few friends, and now it's going public through this recording. What happened to the church is that the whole energy changed. And then I returned to Paris a year and a half later, and the cathedral felt totally different. It felt light, it felt airy, and it felt wonderful. Of course, this cathedral was built on a sacred ground by pagan energies, and there's all of these different conflicts with the church and the pagans, and as we see in historical perspective. And so it was a huge release of energy. It was really fun to do. Now, those ancient energies are one thing, but in the States, it's a much newer energy. It's a much more dynamic energy that happens across people. And as I see these things happen, of releasing suppressed anger or ways that we have taken ourselves out of our bodies, I just see people changing in ways that are phenomenally powerful, of being present with their own lives in ways that they never imagined, or having the freedom not to be in resentments anymore, that they could just live life happy. And then things start showing up for them that never showed up for them before, because they were not feeding the space of their limitations or the energetic rocks in their body of limitations. Their body didn't have to feed that anymore because it was gone. What it was open to, where did that energy go? It was feeding possibilities of other things showing up in their lives. And so it's a way that we create magic. We live in a question in access, and we keep asking questions. Well, what would it take for more possibility to show up in my life? Or what would it take for more awareness to show up in my life? What would it take for a new home to be in my life? And the universe will do whatever it takes for that to show up. We have to be open to the possibility and not define it, but be open. Maybe be in the places that could happen and do the things that could happen, but not with this almost like goal that that's why we're doing it. We're just doing it because it's light, it feels good to us, and it feels expansive. We follow the energy. So I invite you to come play, man. It's just wild, wacky stuff. Sometimes irreverent, sometimes laughter, sometimes very intense, but it's very real, and it can change your life in ways you can never imagine. So come play.